You've been burned before. Someone you helped, someone you lifted when they were down, someone you gave your time, energy, maybe even money to. They disappeared the moment you needed them back, and you felt stupid, betrayed, used. But here's what nobody tells you about that moment of realization. You weren't the victim. You were the architect of your own manipulation. Niccolò Machiavelli understood something about human nature that most people refuse to accept. In The Prince, he wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel." What he meant was this: people see your good deeds, but they can't feel your intentions. And that gap, that's where you lose your power. Think about the last time you helped someone. Really helped them. Maybe you stayed late to finish their project. Maybe you lent them money. Maybe you listened to their problems for hours while your own life fell apart. What did you expect in return? Be honest, you expected gratitude. You expected loyalty. You expected them to remember what you did when you needed something back. But that's not what happened, is it? Here's the harsh truth that's going to change everything. Kindness without boundaries isn't virtue. It's self-destruction, dressed up as morality. I see it now if you've ever been used to being too helpful. Every person who's ever taken advantage of your kindness knew exactly what they were doing. They saw someone who needed to be needed, someone who would say yes when everyone else said no. Someone who is confused is helping with healing their own desperate need for validation. But that's just the beginning of this dark truth. The real shock comes when you realize that society, your parents, your teachers, your friends, they all programmed you to be this way. They told you that helping others was noble, that selflessness was a strength. Good people always put others first. They lied to you. And Machiavelli saw through this lie 500 years ago. Here's the deeper truth about the illusion of virtue that's been controlling your entire life. Society doesn't praise kindness because it's good. It praises kindness because it's useful. When you're the person everyone can count on, you become everyone's solution and nobody's priority. Think about the people who constantly tell others how kind and generous you are. Pay attention to them. Watch their behavior carefully. These are the same people who call you first when they need something. The same people who forget to invite you when they don't. The same people who praise your selflessness while building their lives on your sacrifices. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." The people praising your kindness aren't seeing your true nature. They're celebrating your usefulness to them. Here's what's happening in that moment when someone says, "You're such a good person," after you've helped them. They're not complimenting you. They're training you. They're reinforcing the behavior that benefits them. They're programming you to associate your self-worth with your willingness to sacrifice yourself for others. And you fall for it every single time because it feels good to be seen as virtuous, but virtue without power is just weakness with good marketing. Look at the most successful people you know. Really look at them. Are they constantly helping everyone who asks? Are they the first people call when they need something? They help strategically. They help when it serves a purpose. They help when they can afford to help without depleting themselves. They understand what Machiavelli knew. Liberality exercised in a way that does not bring you the reputation for it injures you. In other words, if your generosity doesn't build your reputation and position, it's not generosity, it's self-sabotage. The people who truly respect you aren't the ones you've helped the most. They're the ones who know you help selectively. They're the ones who understand that your time and energy have value because you treat them like they have value. But this leads us directly to an even darker truth about the psychology of helping others. Every time you help someone, you create a debt, not the kind they acknowledge, the kind they resent. Nobody wants to owe anyone anything. Nobody wants to feel small or dependent or like they need rescuing. But when you help someone, especially when they didn't ask for it, you force them into the position of debtor. And debtors don't love their creditors, they avoid them. Think about someone you helped significantly in the past. Someone whose life genuinely improved because of your intervention. How often do you hear from them now? If they've disappeared from your life, it's not because they forgot what you did. It's because they remember exactly what you did, and it makes them uncomfortable. Machiavelli observed, benefits should be conferred gradually, and in that way they will taste better. But most people, maybe you included, dump their help all at once. They solve someone's entire problem in a grand gesture of generosity. And in doing so, they create a debt too large to ever be repaid. The recipient of this overwhelming help has three choices: spend their life trying to repay an impossible debt, accept a permanent position of inferiority in the relationship, or eliminate the debt by eliminating the relationship. Guess which one most people choose? They disappear. They ghost you. They find reasons to be angry with you or critical of you. They rewrite the story of what happened so that your help wasn't actually helpful. Or maybe you had ulterior motives. Or maybe they could have figured it out on their own anyway. This isn't ingratitude, it's psychology. You created a debt too big for their ego to carry, so they had to destroy the debt by destroying the relationship. And here's the part that will really disturb you. Deep down, you knew this would happen. You helped them anyway because you weren't really helping them. You were helping yourself feel important. The person who truly benefits from your help isn't the recipient. It's you. You get to feel needed, valuable, superior, and virtuous. You get to be the hero in someone else's story. And manipulative people, the truly dangerous ones, they see this need in you from miles away. They present themselves as victims in need of saving. They let you be their hero. They feed your ego with gratitude and praise while you solve their problems and fix their lives. And then, when you need something, when you need help or support, or just someone to listen, where are they? Gone. Busy. Dealing with their own problems now because they were never loyal to you. They were loyal to what you could do for them. Now, let's go further into the real psychology of loyalty and how it actually works in human relationships. True loyalty is the rarest currency in human relationships, and most people mistake gratitude for loyalty, which is why they get blindsided when their loyal friends abandon them. Gratitude is temporary. It's an emotional response to a specific action. It fades as the memory of the help fades, and it disappears entirely when the person no longer needs what you provided. Loyalty is different. Loyalty is strategic. It's based on mutual benefit and shared interests. It lasts as long as the relationship serves both parties. But here's what Machiavelli understood that most people don't. Loyalty isn't earned through kindness, it's earned through value. People aren't loyal to those who help them. They're loyal to those who can continue helping them. They're loyal to those who provide ongoing value, not past favors. Think about your own loyalties. Are you loyal to people because they were nice to you once? Or are you loyal to people because they consistently add value to your life? The difference is everything. When you base relationships on gratitude, you're building on shifting sand. Gratitude depends on memory, and memory fades. Gratitude depends on emotion, and emotions change. Gratitude depends on the person feeling indebted, and nobody wants to feel indebted forever. But when you base relationships on ongoing mutual value, you're building on bedrock. Both parties benefit. Both parties have reasons to maintain the relationship. Both parties have something to lose if the relationship ends. Machiavelli wrote, "Friendships that are obtained by payments, and not by greatness or nobility of mind, may indeed be earned, but they are not secured." In other words, if your relationships are based on what you've done for people, they're not really secure. They're conditional on your continued generosity and their continued gratitude. But if your relationships are based on who you are and what you bring to the table consistently, then you have real power in those relationships. This doesn't mean you never help anyone. It means you help strategically. You help people who can help you back. You help people who are building something you want to be part of. You help people whose success benefits your success, and you never, ever help someone who makes helping them your entire role in their life. Because once you become someone's personal problem solver, that's all you'll ever be to them. You won't be their friend, their partner, their equal. You'll be their solution, and solutions get discarded when the problem is solved. Here's the part that might make you uncomfortable. You might actually like being needed more than you like being respected. Being needed feels good immediately. It gives you purpose, importance, and a clear role in someone's life. It makes you feel valuable and virtuous and superior all at once. Being respected is different. Respect comes from boundaries. Respect comes from selectivity. Respect comes from treating your time and energy as valuable resources that not everyone gets access to. And respect lasts. Respect builds real relationships. Respect creates actual influence and power. But respect requires you to disappoint people sometimes. It requires you to say no. It requires you to let people solve their own problems even when you could easily solve those problems for them. This is where most people fail. They can't handle disappointing anyone, so they help everyone and end up mattering to no one. Let me tell you about the psychology of the savior complex, because if you're still reading this, you probably have one. The savior complex isn't about helping others, it's about helping yourself feel superior. It's about positioning yourself as the competent one, the reliable one, the one who has it all figured out. Every time you swoop in to rescue someone, you're sending two messages: I can handle this and you can't. The first message makes you feel powerful. The second message makes the other person feel small, and feeling small creates resentment, not gratitude. Machiavelli understood this dynamic perfectly. He wrote, "Men willingly believe what they wish. People want to believe they're capable, independent, and strong. When you constantly rescue them, you force them to confront evidence that contradicts this belief about themselves. So they have two choices: accept that they're weak and dependent, or reject the help and the helper. Most people choose the second option, but they don't reject you immediately. They let you help, take what they need, and then rewrite the story afterward to preserve their self-image. In their new version of events, they didn't really need your help. They could have figured it out themselves. Maybe you were actually making things worse. Maybe you had selfish motives for helping. This isn't conscious manipulation, this is cognitive self-defense. Their ego can't handle being constantly rescued, so it creates a narrative where the rescuing wasn't necessary or wasn't pure. And you're so addicted to being needed that you don't see this happening until it's too late. You keep helping, keep rescuing, keep solving problems, thinking you're building loyalty and gratitude, but you're actually building resentment and dependence. And the truly manipulative people, the ones who really understand psychology, they see your savior complex and they exploit it ruthlessly. They present themselves as broken, helpless, overwhelmed. They let you fix their lives while they focus their energy on other things. They use your competence to handle their responsibilities while they pursue their desires. And when they no longer need you, when they've stabilized their life using your effort, they move on to relationships that make them feel powerful. Instead of small, they leave you holding the bag, wondering what happened to all that gratitude they expressed when you were solving their problems for them. Have you ever helped someone who vanished when you needed them? Comment, never again. Here's what you need to understand about the psychology of help. People don't want to be saved. They want to be empowered. But empowerment is harder to give than solutions. Empowerment requires you to step back and let people struggle. It requires you to provide guidance instead of rescue. It requires you to believe in their capability even when they don't believe in it themselves. And it requires you to be comfortable with not being needed. Most people with savior complexes can't handle this. They'd rather be needed than respected. They'd rather feel important than build actually important relationships. But if you want real power in your Relationships, if you want to matter to people who actually matter, you have to give up the drug of being constantly needed. This leads us directly to the next principle, the Machiavellian exchange. Real power in relationships comes from understanding that everything is an exchange, not a transaction, an exchange. Transactions are one-time events. You give something, you get something back. It's over. Exchanges are ongoing. They create relationships. They build systems of mutual value. Machiavelli wrote, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." But he wasn't advocating for being cruel or abusive. He was recognizing that fear, in this context the fear of losing access to your value, is more reliable than love. People who love you might still betray you if it serves their interests. People who fear losing you won't risk that betrayal, but they have to understand that they could lose you. They have to know that your help, your time, your energy, your presence, all of it is conditional on the relationship serving both of you. This is the Machiavellian exchange. I help you, you help me. I add value to your life, you add value to mine. I invest in your success, you invest in mine. It's not cold or calculating, it's sustainable. One-sided relationships aren't sustainable. They create resentment on both sides. The giver becomes resentful of being taken for granted. The receiver becomes resentful of feeling obligated. But mutual exchange creates a genuine partnership. Both parties benefit. Both parties contribute. Both parties have skin in the game. Here's how to implement this. Before you help someone, ask yourself 3 questions. Can they help me back? Not necessarily with the same thing, but in some way that matters to you. Will helping them advance something I care about? Your goals, your values, your vision for your life. Am I helping them because they asked or because I need to be needed? If you can't answer the first 2 questions positively, and if the answer to the 3rd question is that you need to be needed, don't help. This feels selfish because you've been programmed to believe that good people help everyone unconditionally. But unconditional help isn't good. It's enabling. It enables other people to avoid responsibility for their own lives. It enables you to avoid building real relationships based on mutual respect. It enables a dynamic where some people give everything and others take everything. That's not virtue, that's dysfunction. Real virtue, Machiavellian virtue, is creating relationships where everyone wins. Where help flows both ways. Where everyone contributes and everyone benefits. But this requires you to be comfortable with the fact that not everyone will like this version of you. Some people will be angry that you're no longer their personal problem solver. Some people will call you selfish for having boundaries. Some people will disappear from your life when they realize you're no longer unconditionally available. Let them go. These people were never really in your life anyway. They were just using your life to make theirs easier. The people who stay, the people who respect your boundaries, the people who contribute to the relationship instead of just taking from it, these are your real connections. And these relationships, these mutual exchanges, these are where real power and influence are built. Now let's talk about how to use this understanding to actually control outcomes in your relationships. True power hides behind empathy, but it's not the kind of empathy most people practice. Most people practice emotional empathy. They feel what others feel, they absorb others' emotions, and they make others' problems their own problems. This isn't power, this is emotional slavery. Machiavellian empathy is different. It's cognitive empathy. You understand what others feel without feeling it yourself. You recognize their motivations without adopting their motivations. You see their perspective without losing your own. This kind of empathy, detached, analytical, strategic. This is what gives you real influence over others. When you understand someone's emotional patterns without being controlled by them, you can respond in ways that get the outcomes you want. When you understand someone's fears without being afraid yourself, You can either ease those fears or leverage them, depending on what serves your goals. When you understand someone's desires without being distracted by them, you can help them achieve those desires in ways that also serve your interests. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." The appearance you want to create is compassionate, understanding, and empathetic. The reality you want to maintain is clear-minded, strategic, and self-interested. This isn't manipulation. This is leadership. Here's how this works in practice. When someone comes to you with a problem, don't immediately try to solve it. Instead, understand why they're bringing it to you. Are they looking for a solution, or are they looking for attention? Are they genuinely stuck, or are they avoiding responsibility? Are they testing your boundaries, or are they testing your competence? Once you understand their real motivation, you can respond strategically. If they genuinely need help and can offer value in return, help them in a way that creates mutual benefit. If they're looking for attention, give them enough to satisfy the need without encouraging dependence. If they're avoiding responsibility, redirect them back to their own capability without solving their problem for them. If they're testing your boundaries, enforce those boundaries clearly and consistently. The key is maintaining emotional distance while appearing emotionally engaged. You care about the outcome, but you're not controlled by their emotions about the outcome. This selective compassion with boundaries. This is how you build real influence. People respect those who care strategically more than those who care indiscriminately, because strategic caring implies that you see value in them specifically, not just that you're a person who helps everyone. When your compassion is selective, it becomes valuable. When your compassion is unlimited, it becomes worthless. But here's the most important part. You have to be willing to withdraw your compassion when it's not appreciated or reciprocated. This brings us to the strategic withdrawal, one of the most powerful tools in human psychology. Most people think withdrawal is giving up or being cruel, but strategic withdrawal is actually the highest form of self-respect and the most effective way to test the true nature of your relationships. Machiavelli understood that sometimes you have to pull back to see where you actually stand with someone. When you're constantly available, constantly helping, accommodating, you never know if people value you or just value what you do for them. But when you withdraw, when you become less available, less helpful, less accommodating, you quickly discover who was genuinely connected to you and who was just using your energy. The people who reach out when you pull back, who ask if something's wrong, who make an effort to maintain the connection, these people value the relationship itself. The people who disappear when you stop being constantly available, who don't notice when you stop reaching out first, who move on without trying to understand what changed, these people were only interested in what you provided, not who you are. This isn't a test you run maliciously. It's not about playing games or manipulating people. It's about creating space to see reality clearly. When you're always giving, always available, always accommodating, you create a dynamic where other people don't have to invest in the relationship. You're doing all the work so they can be passive recipients. But relationships require investment from both sides to be sustainable and fulfilling. Strategic withdrawal forces other people to invest. It creates space for them to reach out, to initiate, to contribute, and their response to that space tells you everything you need to know about how they actually feel about you. Some people will step into that space. They'll reach out more, initiate more, and contribute more. These are the people worth investing in. Other people will disappear into that space. They'll find other sources for what you were providing. They'll move on without looking back. These are the people you should have stopped helping long ago. The strategic withdrawal isn't about punishment or manipulation. It's about creating authentic dynamics where everyone contributes according to their actual level of investment in the relationship. Here's how to implement this. Gradually reduce your availability and your proactive help. Stop reaching out first. Stop solving problems you weren't asked to solve. Stop being the first person people think of when they need something. This will feel uncomfortable at first because you're used to being the giver, the helper, the one who makes everything easier for everyone else. But watch what happens. Some relationships will naturally fade, and you'll realize they were never really relationships, they were just you being useful to people who didn't really care about you. Other relationships will deepen because the other person will start contributing more to maintain the connection, and new relationships will emerge with people who appreciate your selectivity and boundaries. This process, painful as it might be initially, is how you discover who your real people are. Now let's examine the deepest layer of this entire dynamic. Why you help others in the first place. Everything you do for a reason. Even when you tell yourself you're being selfless, even when you believe you're acting purely out of kindness, you're getting something from the exchange. The question isn't whether you have motives for helping others. The question is whether you're honest about what those motives are. Most people help others for one of four reasons: status, control, affection, or fear. Status helpers want to be seen as good, virtuous, and important. They help publicly. They help dramatically. They help in ways that get noticed and praised. Their generosity is performance. Control helpers want to create dependence and obligation. They help in ways that make other people need them. They solve problems that others could solve themselves. Their generosity is powerful. Affection helpers want to be loved, liked, and appreciated. They help in hopes of earning positive feelings from others. They're buying affection with acts of service. Their generosity is commerce. Fear helpers are afraid of conflict, rejection, and abandonment. They help to avoid negative consequences. They say yes to everything because they can't handle anyone being unhappy with them. Their generosity is protection. None of these motives is inherently wrong, but all of them become problems when you're not conscious of them. When you don't understand your own motives, you can't control your behavior. You help compulsively, reactively, desperately. You say yes to things you should say no to. You exhaust yourself for people who don't reciprocate. But when you understand exactly why you help others, you can help strategically. If you help with status, you can choose to help in ways that actually build your reputation and influence. If you help with control, you can help in ways that create genuine leadership opportunities rather than unhealthy dependence. If you help for affection, you can help people who are capable of genuine reciprocal affection rather than those who just take without giving back. If you help for fear, you can work on building your comfort with disappointment and conflict, so your help comes from strength rather than weakness. Machiavelli wrote, "The wish to acquire is in truth very natural and common, and men always do so when they can." Everyone wants to acquire something from their relationships. The people who pretend they don't are either lying to themselves or lying to you. The people who are honest about what they want from relationships, these are the people you can actually trust and work with. When someone says they're helping you out of pure altruism, be suspicious. Pure altruism doesn't exist in human psychology. Everyone gets something from their actions, even if it's just the feeling of being good. But when someone is honest about wanting mutual benefit, mutual respect, mutual value, this is someone you can build something real with. The mirror of motives works both ways. Just as you should understand your own reasons for helping others, you should understand others' reasons for helping you. When someone offers help, ask yourself, what are they getting from this? Status, control, affection, fear avoidance? Understanding their motive helps you understand the real terms of the exchange and respond appropriately. If someone helps you with status, acknowledge their contribution publicly. Give them the recognition they're seeking. If someone helps you to control, maintain your independence. Accept the help without becoming dependent. If someone helps you out of affection, reciprocate the emotional investment. Show appreciation and care. If someone helps you for fear, reassure them that your relationship isn't conditional on their constant helpfulness. When you understand the psychology behind every interaction, you stop being manipulated by it. You start participating consciously instead of reactively, in conscious participation, knowing why you're doing what you're doing and why others are doing what they're doing. This is the foundation of all real power in relationships. Here's the truth that will set you free from the cycle of helping others at your own expense. Helping others isn't a weakness. Machiavelli's final lesson isn't to stop caring about others. It's to care intelligently. Help people who can help themselves, but choose to help you back. Help people whose success contributes to your success. Help people who respect your boundaries and appreciate your selectivity. Stop helping people who take your generosity for granted. Stop helping people who disappear when you need them. Stop helping people who make helping them your entire role in their lives. This isn't selfish. This is sustainable. Sustainable generosity serves everyone better than compulsive generosity that burns you out and enables others to avoid responsibility for their own lives. When you help strategically, you can help more effectively. When you help with boundaries, you can help for longer. When you help people who help you back, you create relationships that actually improve both of your lives. The people who deserve your help are the people who don't take it for granted. The people who appreciate your selectivity. The people who understand that your time and energy have value because you treat them like they have value. These are the people who will remember what you did for them. These are the people who will be there when you need them. These are the people who will build something meaningful with you instead of just taking from you. Everyone else, the energy vampires, the fair-weather friends, the people who only call when they need something, they were never worthy of your generosity in the first place. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your time, energy, or resources. You don't owe anyone help that depletes you. You don't owe anyone generosity that they don't appreciate or reciprocate. What you owe yourself is the wisdom to help in ways that honor your own value while genuinely serving others. And when you help from this place, conscious, strategic, boundaried, your help becomes more valuable, not less. Because it's rare. Because it's intentional. Because it's sustainable. The transformation isn't from helpful to selfish. The transformation is from unconscious helping to conscious helping. From compulsive generosity to strategic generosity. From people-pleasing to people-serving. And this transformation, this is what gives you real power in relationships. Power to help people who deserve your help. Power to build relationships that serve everyone involved. Power to create value in the world without depleting yourself in the process. If you help without expecting gratitude anymore, comment power over praise. You started this video thinking that helping others was simple, that kindness was always good, that generosity was always virtuous, that helping anyone who asked was the right thing to do. Now you understand that helping others is one of the most complex dynamics in human psychology, that unconscious helping often hurts everyone involved. That strategic helping with awareness, boundaries, and mutual benefit. This is what creates real positive change in the world. Machiavelli knew that good intentions without strategic thinking lead to bad outcomes. That virtue without power is just weakness with good marketing. That real influence comes from understanding human nature as it is, not as we wish it were. You now have that understanding. Use it wisely. Help people who can help themselves but choose to help you back. Build relationships based on mutual value rather than one-sided sacrifice. Create boundaries that protect your ability to be genuinely generous rather than compulsively helpful. And remember, the people who matter will respect your boundaries. The people who don't respect your boundaries don't matter. Your value isn't determined by how much you help others. Your value is inherent, and the right people will recognize it whether you help them or not. Help from that place of inherent worth, and you'll never be taken advantage of again.